Does anyone have a question? Well, if there are no questions, it's also great to share this kind of silence, this kind of depth, that opens up, consciousness on a very, very high level.
Stuart?
Yes.
I'm 39 years old, soon to be. I've had my birthday today, and coming up at this age in my life, I've never been feeling this discouraged and hopeless in my path to, living my potential, fulfilling my potential, or I have a good job and things are pretty good for me on the outside. I have a fulfilling job, for example, but at the same time, there's so much discouragement and hopelessness. It's extremely difficult these times for me. I don't have anything much more than that to say. Just wanted to, just to express.
Oh, Leo, it's why you're here. To get over that, it really is essential that you build an inner life that is strong enough to do it. Because, frankly, there's a lot to be discouraged about that goes on in the world. There's a lot to often be discouraged about that goes on inside ourselves. And all of that is a reminder that if we don't build an inner life that is strong enough to keep the heart open, to stay centered and balanced inside ourselves, this discouragement doesn't go away. It's only because we haven't developed inside the capacity to transform that negative energy into chi, into positive energy, into something that nurtures us inside ourselves. That's the battle. It's always been honestly, it's always been a battle in my life, especially when I was younger, I mean, how old did you say you were? 39, 29?
39.
39. When I was, when I was younger, I lived in a world of negativity. I lived in a world of kind of hopelessness and discouragement. And I knew that I had to do something about it. And when I discovered that the only way I could get rid of that was by fixing my inner life, I stopped spending so much time in my head, I stopped analyzing the world, I stopped looking at all the negativity in the world, and building a system inside that is strong enough to transform all that garbage into a spiritual life. When I began doing that, it took time. It didn't happen in a week or 2 weeks or even 10 weeks. But over time, I developed an inner life that was strong enough to do what I'm talking about. And that's why you're here, Leo. You got to understand that to learn how to do this. Otherwise, you take this with you for the rest of your life. And it requires an almost superhuman effort to do what you're asking about. But if you make that kind of effort, if the need is real, I promise you, I can only talk from my own experiences. All of that hopelessness, all of that negativity, it all turns around. Because, I discovered years ago, there's no such thing as positive or negative. Everything is energy. It's just energy. The energy of God isn't positive or negative. It's just energy. What becomes positive and negative is the way we view it and how we live with it. Then it becomes positive and negative. So, we all can receive Shakti, we can receive energy from the cosmos, but it's what goes on in our heads and our emotions and our sexuality that transforms that energy into something positive or something negative. If you master the chaos inside yourself, all of that energy becomes positive energy. It's not even positive, it's just energy that you can use to grow. And hopelessness usually disappears in minutes. You cannot afford, you don't have time to be hopeless anymore. I don't have time to be hopeless anymore. I have too much responsibility. I have too much service to do in the world. I cannot be hopeless about life. So whatever takes place in my life, I find a way to use it to continue to build a stronger chakra system, to grow in myself, and to really connect with higher energy in the universe. And you begin to get to a place where there's no longer positive and negative. It's just energy that can be used for an inner life. But one has to truly make the effort to get to that place. You don't just get up in the morning and you're at that place. One has to build that kind of system. And then it doesn't matter what the hell goes on in the world. It could be COVID-28, there could be this, there, that, segregation, people starve. It doesn't matter because you build an inner life that teaches you, first of all, not how to get swept away in all of the madness of the world, and also how to transform it and find what is real about it that can help you to grow in your life. And all of that is dependent entirely upon how strong your inner system is, how developed the chakra system is. It's like, if you have an orchestra, they have to tune their instruments in order to play a concerto by Beethoven or Mozart. But all the instruments have to be tuned. Well, this meditation is about tuning our instruments, the chakra system, so that we can allow life symphony to flow out of us with all its splendor, all its beauty, even with touches of its hopelessness. It's all part of God's soup. And I can only tell you this because I went through this. Everything you described, I went through in my life. And I had to fight my way out of it. And how did I fight my way out of it? I had to build a strong inner life that was capable of not transforming, or capable of transforming all that hopelessness into harmony, balance, love, compassion, kindness. And yes, it's difficult, but what the hell is the alternative? To live in a stagnant puddle of hopelessness the rest of your life. And wow, that in itself should inspire one to work on themselves. I hope that's clear, because I understand completely what you said, Leo. I mean that only because I've been through it. And I know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I know you can get through it, but one has to work on themselves in a profound, deep way with tremendous need to grow and a tremendous will to do it. And whether it's what I teach or somebody else teaches, one has to do it with such depth that it really transforms your inner life. And not think that is the way of the world, because it's not. I mean, look, I grew up in the age of existentialism. I mean, every writer wrote about hopelessness. I mean, every play, every novel was all about how hopeless the world was, from Sartre to Camus to all these guys, that were writing these books that were very popular back in the 60s. It was all about the existential nature of life and the hopelessness of life. You go to see a Samuel Beckett play, and it was all about waiting for Godot. And the Godot never comes. It's kind of a theater of the absurd. I grew up in the midst of all that to feed my insecurity, my inability. And I said, no, Stuart, there has to be something more than this. And there is. And when I met my teacher, Rudy, it was the first time anybody showed me a way to do it. People talked about it, but actually showed me a way to do it. And I was so grateful. I found a way to do it. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask?
Thank you very much, Stuart.
You're welcome, Leo. Just do your work. It'll pass. It all passes, if you work on yourself. And one day you look back and say, whoa, I came out of hell. It's like that book I wrote, A Lotus Flower in Muddy Water. We all grow out of muddy water. It's a symbol of Buddhism, a lotus flower coming out of muddy water. We all come out of muddy water. But if the heart's open, there's a lotus flower, There's joy, there's love, there's hopelessness gets sunk to the bottom of the pond, Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, there'll be a meditation again on Tuesday. And God bless you all for being part of this and for coming to these classes. I mean, even just to have a talk like this, without Leo asking that question, I mean, it certainly touched me very deeply. And I can't imagine it not having touched all of you very deeply. So God bless you all for being part of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Um,
God bless you.
Good evening.